good visionaries in the middle of the park. Here's Banda.
Hula went to ground in the box. Zimbabwe continue. And Kenya continue their defense. Banda backtracks. Here's Hativangoni. Oh, his target was Mapua. He was just sandwiched between those two Kenyan defenders, Sahono and Wanjala. Here's Omondi. Well, that press has forced a major mistake from Wanjala. He's placed his goalkeeper under tremendous amount of pressure. And good pressing work from Mapua. And good recovery from Omondi to give Zimbabwe a throw instead of a corner kick. There's Banda again. Will he go long? Or will he go much shorter this time? He goes deep into the box. Out from Omija. And now Kenya are on the move, on the counter-attack. Onyango, two in advance. He picks out one. That being Kitseo. And he just couldn't get past the Zimbabwean captain. Great shepherding work from him. A tough defender to beat. Loves the 1v1 battles. And so does Kitseo. So that should be a gripping battle for the remainder. Here's Ben-Hura. Haven't seen too much of him so far. Mureremba. But too much of a heavy touch. And Kenya are forced to try and play out from the back, and they'll settle for a goal kick. Group B is the first group that will be finalized, but later on do strap in for a thrilling ride when Group A and C reaches its climax. Unbelievably, all the nations in Group A are stuck on 2 points, which is quite a rare sight. And as for Group C, after the first round of matches, all the 4 nations in that group are also tied with 1 point each. Things are a lot more separated and clearer in this Group B that features Kenya and Zimbabwe. Now for their attacking endeavour and trouble, Zimbabwe have earned a free kick in quite a promising position on the field. And it's no surprise that Muwira will take this one for them. He's taken set pieces with the left boot, with the right boot too. Quite a versatile skill set that he does possess. That one though is just too close to Omondi, who gets Kenya going rather rapidly. Onyango is making a really good run. It's just a pity that the pass was off his radar. And nearly Hachira was released by Mushore. Kenya have had their moments, so have Zimbabwe, but so far it's quite cagey between the two. Zimbabwe will know that a point is enough to finish on the top of Group B. Now that's picked up from Atieno, and again, not exactly the precise and lethal attacking one would come to expect from a team that slayed Zambia. It's a good pick out from Omondi. Decent control from Otieno. And Benson Ochieng gets away with one there. Here's Kitseo. Hugging that left-hand touchline, now drifting inwards. He was just met by a yellow wall. Out from Zimbabwe. Not to a yellow shirt though. Ogilo. Austin Atieno. Loose touch from him. And now Zimbabwe can stream forwards. Mushore. Banda again. Onyongo intercepts for Kenya. Well, the Kenyans have matched the Zimbabweans pretty well so far. Just patiently waiting for that golden opportunity. Banda goes down the line this time. Ben-Hura making a bit of a nuisance of himself. Long ball up towards Austin Atieno. Does yield a throw-in. It's a good territory gained for Kenya. Both Kenya and Zimbabwe have also just recently reached the halfway mark of their respective World Cup qualification journeys. Kenya are well off the pace set by Cote d'Ivoire in their group, and Zimbabwe are currently languishing at the bottom of their group. In other words, we will probably not see Kenya or Zimbabwe in the Americas come 2026. But Kenya can break the deadlock here. Onyango lashes one over the top. That's the chance that they've been waiting for so patiently. And Onyango a bit too hot-headed. Really good pressure applied from the Kenyans. Plenty of space to unleash a meaningful strike, but off target for Onyango and Kenya. No work so far for Pitisi. Great distribution from the goalkeeper though. Mushore. It's well done from Kitseo. The Kenyans are slowly starting to find their confidence.
No problem, guys, no problem.
Benson Ochieng was anticipating a run from Onyango, a run that didn't quite arrive, and a pass that just didn't have the legs on it either. Oh, it's the Kenyans that are winning these battles in the midfield for now. Atieno. There's Atieno again. Wanjala. Here's Otieno. Really good with his back to goal is Otieno. It's a rare skill in football. One that not a lot of players possess, especially midfielders, used to playing with their face facing up against the goal. Here's a Horno. Omondi did incredibly well the other night to keep a clean sheet against the Copper Bullets. And the wind also playing its part. That long ball from Omondi initially looked like it was overcooked, but it just held up in the air. And it brought Benson Ochieng into the game too. Murira. Mapua is his target. Wanjala just got there in the nick of time. Here goes Banda for Zimbabwe. Really good touch to escape the clutches of Onyango, but not Atieno. And here come the Kenyans. Omija down the right-hand side. Poor ball in the end. Still Kenyan ball, however. Onyango swapping places with his right fullback. Great understanding so far between the Kenyans. It's a pity things didn't quite click for them against Comoros. Here's a Horno for Kenya. The guest nation at this year's COSAFA Cup have looked quite enterprising in bits and pieces. Nothing sustained and meaningful just yet. Here's Kitseo, then Atieno. Otieno Omija. Benson Ochieng was making quite a threatening run. Omija opted to rather retain possession instead of taking a bit of a gamble. Here's Onyango though. Good strength from Onyango. Decent enough defending from Mahano. Was located exactly where he needed to be. But here's a chance then for Zimbabwe. Mushore. Mureremba. Down the right, the cutback. Just rolls harmlessly into the breadbasket of Omondi. Back to front we go now. Here's Kitseo. Benson Ochieng. Kitseo again. He's dispossessed. Panda, Murira. Really is a fantastic distributor of the football. It is rather peculiar to see the Copper Bullets misfiring this tournament, but their inadequacies have been pounced on by the likes of Kenya and Zimbabwe. Do remember that Zambia entered this tournament with the thoughts of winning 3 COSAFA Cup titles in a row, a feat that no national team has ever attained. Muriwa, that's a really good ball. And they've got a corner. So from one set piece to the other, Muriwa makes his way to the right-hand side of the field. Might they opt for something a little bit different, something that might catch the Kenyans off guard? So the targets have to be Mapua, Umashore, perhaps Ben-Hura, who is the closest to the goalkeeper out of all of the Zimbabwean players. Fantastic cross to the front stick. Omondi with an unconvincing punch, but convincing enough. And he releases it rapidly again, wasting no time. Now you can hear the Zimbabwean coach on the sideline asking his troops to play at a quicker tempo. And if Tapera and his troops are to trollop all the way to COSAFA Cup glory, Tapera's interim head coach title may just be altered to something more fixed and long term. They'll know that after this game there will only be 2 more foes standing in their way between themselves and COSAFA Cup glory. Kitseo with a flick on header. Here's Mapua. Mushore for Zimbabwe. Onyango does well for Kenya. And look at him drive on. Onyango. And that attempted through ball was cut out by Hatzivangoni. Another long ball thrown into the mix. Kennedy Oriambo must be quite satisfied with his team's performance so far. Similar to the many carefully curated coaching selections of other national setups, Kennedy Oriambo has been given the reins to manage this rather youthful Kenyan outfit, many of which have worked under the tutelage of Oriambo in the under-23 sector of Kenyan football. There's Banda. He's got a really long throw on him. The loose ball is picked up from Kenya, more specifically Benson Ochieng. They can't keep it. And that that really has been the tale of the first half so far for the Kenyans. As for Zimbabwe, they seem to be operating in second gear for now. Muriwa, Onyango, giving him a good old hassle. Now the other tussle in this group between Zambia and the Comoros Islands is also currently underway. That scoreline is also currently scoreless between Zambia and Comoros. At the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, just a 10 or 15 minute drive from here. Here's Wanjala for Kenya. It's a really useful ball in behind that Zimbabwean defense. Kenya with a massive chance. And that miscue clearance not pounced upon. Zimbabwe survive a real threat and a real warning. So the wind really working in the favor of the Kenyans so far. None of those long balls have been overcooked. And it's maybe a strategy that they should focus on a bit more as this game progresses. Ohano, Ogilo. It's a really good steal in the midfield by Mureremba. Muriwa. Fantastic spot. Banda. But Omija has always been equal to the Banda threat. Could easily change. Both of these national setups were absent from the most recent and captivating AFCON tournament earlier this year. They would have watched on with great envy, but with also a great deal of motivation to try and elevate the status of football in their country. Neither Kenya or Zimbabwe could even partake in the AFCON qualifiers last year due to unfortunate government intervention in their football structures. So this tournament really is an opportunity to turn over a new leaf for Kenya and Zimbabwe. Ogilo gets us going again. And Chiro's ball. It's very hopeful, but not at all measured. Wanjala. A really good pass through the midfield, dissecting that Zimbabwean midfield line. Big chance there for the Kenyans here. Offside flag has gone up. So Austin Atieno has been central to everything positive from a Kenyan perspective. And as we can clearly see on that picture, Kitseo miles offside. Petisi restarts the confrontation. Omija. Onyango comes short to collect. Here's Atieno. So when Kenya, I should say, are in possession of the ball, they are playing with a back three, with the CDM slotting in between Ohano and Wanjala. As for Zimbabwe, they seem to be utilizing the two forwards up top with two very wide wingers. So far, no real danger has been seen as of yet. Half an hour into the contest, and we're missing a bit of magic from Kenya and Zimbabwe. It's a typical cup affair. Onyango. Atieno. Onyango. All that they need is a bit of patience. Zimbabwe, very solid, very resolute in their defensive structure, with a flat 4 at the back. Now a 5 at the back, and then 3 in the midfield, and then 2 up top. So an Italian formation, an Italian strategy applied by the Zimbabwean head coach. And they'll know that Kenya are irregular participants in the COSAFA Cup. In fact, the last time Kenya participated in the COSAFA Cup was once before in 2013 when Zambia hosted and won the event. The Kenyans didn't last long and they succumbed to early group elimination. Will they avoid the same fate this time around? It's a heavy landing from Pitisi. Huge opportunity for the Kenyans. But again, enough members to deal with that threat for Zimbabwe. It looked like a really heavy and harsh landing for Pitisi. And the ball just held up again, that ever so slightly, making the goalkeeper's life tremendously difficult. And it looks like he's winded in the windy city. And he's in some real discomfort, is Pitisi. Mariwa just posing the question, shouldn't there be a booking, Mr. Referee? Seemed like it was all clean and all pure intentions from the Kenyans. This is the Kenya we saw against Zambia, not the Kenya we witnessed against Comoros. Atieno has fulfilled many roles in this first half so far. He's played slightly deeper for Odiemo's side. He's also had a 5-minute spell closer to Bench and Ochieng, and then Kitseo on the left-hand side. So he's been given this free-roaming role by Kennedy Odiambo. And just like last Thursday, Kenya seemed to be in the mood for a seismic upset in Group B. What a statement it would be if they can defeat the 2 most successful nations the COSAFA Cup has ever seen. For a team that has only appeared in 1 COSAFA Cup before, that would be a monumental achievement. So Pitisi is still pulling himself towards himself, regathering his breath. And Ogilo is patiently waiting to construct another attacking move for Kenya. Ohono. Really good switch and ball up towards Onyango. And that's confident goalkeeping after just sustaining a blow to the midriff. Pitisi, unafraid, Rosewell caught well. And he's distributed decently too. Ben-Hura couldn't get there ahead of Otieno. Here's Hachiro for Zimbabwe. Nice little nick in the center of the park by Otieno. Here's Austin Atieno. The ball is taken off his boots. Zimbabwe have been unable to penetrate Kenya through the center, so they're realizing that they'll probably have most of their chances and joy down the flanks of the Kenyan outfit. Perhaps they just require a bit of a restructure, tactical reshape for the second half. It's a useful long ball, long throw from Jalai. There's July again. He's got 4 or 5 targets to pick out in that penalty area. So Martin Mokete has spotted an infringement on Atieno. Manjala. Harmless stuff from the Kenyans so far. Misplaced pass picked up by Mutimba Nyoka for Zimbabwe. Onyongo doing exactly the same for the Kenyans. Someone is yet to sprinkle their stardust in this Group B brawl. And Benhura so far, the Zimbabwean forward, has been well watched, well marshalled by especially Omija and Wanjala. And you can see the home support, the locals favour Zimbabwe. The question is, will they be favoured by fate in this one against the Kenyans? Omija rekindles the fire. Otieno. Again, another misplaced pass from the Kenyans. Unforced error starting to creep into their game. Pace for the Zimbabweans. Mutimba Nyoka. Really good challenge from Wanjala in response. Looked like he was beaten. Managed just to pull off a sumptuous sliding challenge. Well, this might favour the Zimbabwean players in the box a little bit more. An in-swinger this time from Moriwa. Not exactly happy with his placement, but here he goes. Opportunity for Zimbabwe. Omondi calls loudly and claims confidently. Thought about going to the right-hand side. Omija and Onyongo were closely packed together. Mondi playing as a centre-half for now. Wanjala, the modern-day goalkeeper, is forced to do exactly that. Hollow. Onyango. Yet to reveal his ruthless self in this tournament is Onyango. Just a bit of a yard slower than his league form this season. Here's Moriwa again. Now that is a Hollywood pass from the Zimbabwean captain. Zimbabwe heading in a forward direction. The cross needs to be on the money. It isn't. It's on the roof of Omondi's net. So July failing to capitalize and optimize the move for Zimbabwe. That started from a raking long ball from Moriwa. Achiro doing the intercepting for the men in yellow. Mushore again. Crab crawls it back into his control. Mapua. Decent pace and power from Zimbabwe's number 15. Question is, has he won a corner? No. Kenya and Zimbabwe have only met 3 times before on a football field. And to this day, quite surprisingly, Zimbabwe have never defeated their Kenyan counterparts. The freshest meeting between the two concluded in a 3-1 victory for Kenya in March of this year. And furthermore, no Zimbabwean has ever scored against Kenya before. And due to their geographical separation, a match between the two is quite rare. So let's enjoy it while we can. Jalai up towards Mapua. Here's Mushore fulfilling that number 8 role for Tapero's troops. And finally, someone is ambitious enough to have a pop from range. Mondi and Patisi might as well take their gloves off. Ahono, poor giveaway. Mushore, still Mushore for Zimbabwe. Is this the chance? Decided not to go for goal. Preferred the cutback, which certainly preferred Kenya. And that touch, one would say, costed him the touch of the knee. Nonetheless, Zimbabwe do have a corner kick to try and capitalize on. That is without a shadow of a doubt the chance of the first half so far. There's a really strong wind swirling around. Speaking of swirling, not the greatest of balls from Muriwa this time around. Just a few moments to go in regulation time. Hachiro. Here's Banda. Multibanyoka. Inconspicuous so far. He's not really playing in his strongest position, is Mutimbanyoka. Prefers to play through the middle. Instead, he's finding himself hugging the left-hand touchline. And he has a really strong and calculated defender to beat in Omija. Omondi slips. It's not the first time that Mushore has pounced on the loose ball. Here he is. Mushore to Hachiro. Mapua. Mapua with a few step-overs. Not bamboozling that Kenyan back line just yet. Nice, quick 1-2 stuff from the men in yellow. Mapua, great cross. Another one goes in. Beach soccer style. Decent way to try and end off the first half for Zimbabwe. They're in the ascendancy. Mueremba. Now it's a chance for the Kenyans to tighten the screw in the Zimbabwean half, which they don't do. And we just heard it now. 2 minutes have been added on for this first half. Can the Kenyans bring a surprise? Poor ball up towards Onyango. It has been over a decade since Kenya's last visit to South Africa, whereas Zimbabwe played 2 matches in this country just recently, even before this regional tournament started. Quite evidently they're a bit more accustomed to South African conditions. Here's Austin Atieno. This be the final meaningful attack of the first half. Mushore opts to go to the right-hand side. Mureremba's ball in. He's met by Ben-Hura, and it's a loopy one. Not troubling Omondi in that Kenyan goal. Made a really good dodging run to make first contact with that header. Here's Austin Atieno. He'll have to come out fit and firing in the second half. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that for the first stanza between Kenya and Zimbabwe. It's a match that has really lacked any real type of quality in the final third. Kenya have had 2 half opportunities. Zimbabwe probably had the chance of the first half. That fell to Mushore, but instead of going for goal, going for glory, he looked for his teammate, and it was intercepted by Wanjala in that Kenyan back line. It's been a fascinating brawl so far. No haymakers, however, have been thrown by either Kenya or Zimbabwe. It ends after the first half. Kenya 0, Zimbabwe 0-2. They'll be hoping to come out with a lot more vigor and verve in the second half.